So Kiss takes off the makeup on September 18th, 1983 for the Lick It Up album. And actually it did better than you would expect. Yeah, it's true.
One of my favorites.
Yes.
What?
Hello and welcome to episode 43 of Carvers and Creators, a weekly demonstration and discussion with pumpkin carvers, sculptors, and multi-talented artists. We please ask that you please consider giving us a like and a follow on the platform you're watching us on. And please let us know in the comments where you're watching from and if you have any questions for the carvers or our special guest. My name is Michael Mondragon. I'll be running the show, moderating comments, and chiming in from time to time. Let's meet the Carvers. First, he is an artist and sculptor from Boston, Massachusetts. He's the 2019 champion of Food Network's Outrageous Pumpkin, Paul Dever.
There he is. Hey, Paul.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
What's up?
What's up, dude?
Hey, hey, hey.
Next, he is a multimedia sculpture artist from Tucson, Arizona, and a finalist on Halloween Wars 2019 on the Food Network, Matt Harper.
God bless. That's every one of us.
Our guest today is a creator of original monster art and collectibles, including latex masks, painted statues, and resin model kits. Please welcome the multi-talented Casey Love. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hey.
Thank you.
Hell
Thanks
yeah.
for joining us, man.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you
Awesome.
for joining us, and we are very fortunate to have you here tonight. Let's take a look at the carvings that we did last episode. The subject was mutating evil.
Yes. Yeah, this was my my idea. For whatever reason, I had this kind of devil emerging from all these bubbles of, foaming whatever and chins, and I don't know. I like it and hate it, but then the fact that it's now completely dried out makes me feel better. I got pictures of it, and it's behind us now.
I think it was great, man.
Yeah.
You sculpted in all those warts, huh?
Yeah, that nothing was added except for those little dumb horns. It was just all like subtracted away, and it was kind of fun. It was a thick, really thick butternut squash like this, and it was just like a mile thick, so it allowed me to kind of really dig into it, which was kind of fun. Mutating
I
evil.
like it. I love the tongue.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't expect this to go there, so you did. I think you did great.
All right.
Here's Paul's. The two eyes is two eyes in one is amazing.
Yeah, badassery.
I'm running out of ideas fast, guys.
That melting though, it looks bad. I mean, from the forehead all the way down to his side of his mouth was epic. That was so cool.
Yeah, Lenora had to remind me that it wasn't irradiated. I kept thinking it was supposed to be like radiation poisoning. That's why I started with the melting, and then she's like, "It's not. It's mutating."
Well, he's still mutating.
Yeah,
God knows what he's becoming.
Couple consonants, couple vowels. It's all the same.
Yeah,
That's right.
It's cool. Those are great. Those are very cool.
Oh, thanks, man.
Casey.
The pumpkin carving thing always fascinates me because it's more of a taking away process than what I'm used to, and that's sort of a twist of the way to think and sculpt. It's a trip. So I haven't really done it either, to be honest with you guys.
All right, we're gonna you just saying that. Now we're gonna have you back on, and we're gonna have you do it because I guarantee you just destroy us. But
I don't know.
you do great. You do great.
Right into a hole in it.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the hardest part.
I did. I found the middle pretty quick.
Yeah.
So Casey, let me introduce you to the fourth member of Carvers and Creators, and who is responsible for choosing our carving subject tonight. It is the Hollow Wheel, the Center Spinner, and Paul will explain more now.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, Paul.
Thursday. Happy Thursday. Well, Casey, this is the wheel that we were speaking of. So we used to show up to the beginning of the show and have a carve just about 3/4 of the way done, and we'd have it finished early. Kind of was a bummer. You didn't get to see the process. A lot of people like to watch us carve and ask questions about what we're doing. So we came up with the wheel. So there's no chance to prepare. We have no reference. We just have said fruit, said carving tools, and anxiety for about an hour and a half. So the first spin we're going to do is going to give us the character, whether it's a cyclops or a goblin. We have some things thrown on there like a mammal or an elf and guest choices on there as well. And the second spin will be sort of the emotion that we're going to try and put on it, whether it's hysterical, drunk, mutating, charismatic, you name it, it's on there.
Right on.
Right. So,
All right, Paul.
to do but to give this bad boy a spin and try not to break anything because it always wants to take off on me. Okay, ready?
Yes, sir.
Guest choice. I know, dude. I know where this thing's going. I'm telling you.
Man, you guys are screwed.
Yeah.
I know.
All right, here we go. All right,
Well, hang on.
pick one in my head. And
No, wait, hang on. So he's gonna pick what we're gonna carve, but you're now gonna spin for the emotion, right?
Yeah, same rules as the last 40 episodes, Harper.
There we go.
Irritated.
Irritated.
So you have to give us something to carve that's irritated.
And then, yeah, Casey, you get to decide what on the board or God, whatever else. You know,
Casey, before you choose, just let me tell you, you're a handsome man and you're very intelligent. I just want to compliment you before you give us this choice.
Exactly.
So it's got to be irritated. Was it irritated?
Irritated.
Yeah. Whatever it is going to be irritated.
Now, am I choosing based on those choices on that wheel?
Nope.
No.
Whatever you want.
Let's
You
see.
can use that as a guide since those are already there.
Why are you going to throw John Davis up there right now? First of all, that's tampering, I believe is the term.
Yeah, you can't tamper with the judges here. Come on, people.
Let's keep it fun. I don't want to wreck you guys here. Let's keep
No, bring it. Bring it.
No, I mean, I want to see, like, I'm thinking, let's do something fun. How about, I want to see, we'll pick one of my favorite things to do of all time, which is my personal favorite kind of creature, and that's a cyclops. So irritated cyclops.
Okay.
I can make that happen. I can make that happen.
All right.
Good choice. I like it.
And you can thank me for only giving you one eye to deal with.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Right. I was thinking that. Oh,
Okay.
my goodness.
Wow. All
There
right.
it is. There's the one.
Yeah.
Damn it.
So if you're carving with us, we're going to give you 5 minutes to grab your tools, pumpkin, squash, any other perishable item. The carving subject is an irritated cyclops. So, lot to work with there.
You know what makes it tough is because it only has one eye to kind of create the brow, I guess.
Yeah, you can't have like one brow going in. That's
Yeah, that's a challenge though that I love to do. If you look at a lot of the work I've done a number of different cyclopses. They're all completely different, and I love that challenge of figuring out how to give it a nose, how to get rid of the bridge of the nose, how to make that work. Because a lot of people I see struggle with that, and to make it natural and look interesting and have a good character. Sorry, there's a bug like attacking me that probably doesn't like cyclopses. But that's always a fascinating challenge to me in poster design, and I love to. That one is, I don't know, it always comes back to me. I keep doing cyclopses, so.
But you do them very well.
The ones you do, the ones you've done, you pull off so damn well when it comes to that, because that's where my eye goes. Because this little section right here is like so fun to carve and to sculpt because it's like it's the center point. But when you don't have it, and the eye becomes a center point, it beats anyway. It just
to make it work. Yeah, you got to make it work. And the minute you start throwing an eye bag or anything underneath the eye, you start running into like less and less room to work with that. So
right.
How do you make that work? I find that a fascinating challenge every time. And I just keep tweaking those forms until I find it. But that's what's so hard about carving. It's not carving, you're just taking away. So to tweak those forms and push things up and pull things down, it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I know, because especially when you're subtracting in about 1.5 inches worth of depth, if you go too far, you got to really plan it out in your mind. That's for sure. Damn.
Yep.
Well, thank you, and Dan.
So maybe
I know
you guys a rough one.
I love it.
I know we just met, but are you mad at me?
So let's go around the horn, and we usually have a tradition of toasting to our creations that we're going to do tonight. Casey, what are you having tonight for a beverage?
For me, I'm on the zero vitamin water. Maybe there's something secret in there. I don't know.
Okay.
Triple X guy on that myself.
Yes. I think Matt is the exact opposite of you with his choice.
Yes. Okay, so I found this bottle here. Mickey, zoom in right quick. I found this bottle, and I totally thought of Casey. I'm like, what better creature? I mean, that's like, and it just happens to be a quad Bach. I don't know what that is. I'll find out. But it's only a mere 14%. So
I like the little poodle. He's the innocent poodle he's holding.
Yeah, with the claws.
The claws. It's like
Hell on High from some brewery, I'm sure. Belgian style beer.
Belgium, nice.
Yeah. Anyway, well.
To come
anyway, I probably won't make it to the end of the show. I'll be laying down. So
yeah.
There you go.
Paulie, what do you got?
Talking to me?
Yep.
Oh, sorry. I ran out of beer last night. We may have had a couple last night. So I'm on to something called Loyal Watermelon Lemonade with vodka. It's 9%.
Okay.
Is it vodka?
It's a vodka drink. A whiskey drink and a vodka drink. This one's a whiskey
vodka.
Drink.
Got it.
And it's Sons of Liberty out of Rhode Island.
Oh, right on.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I got a feeling I'm not gonna love it, but maybe I will. Maybe I will. You know, I got to think positive.
You'll be a new convert.
Might say shake well.
Might be amazing. You never know.
Yeah.
No, well, I'll let you know after one sip. I have no poker face at all.
Your face turns into the same face you're going to sculpt for your Cyclops. You might, that's a good.
One sip, I'm an irritated Cyclops.
Yeah. Mickey, what are you drinking?
I got a No Worries IPA from Belching Beaver Brewery. A West
That's
Coast
a good name.
IPA. Yep. It's actually Belching Beaver is one of the first breweries, craft breweries I went to because they had a peanut butter stout. Mm-hmm. And so I said I have to know more about them, and they have a lot of great like West Coast beers. It's a very San Diego beer if you know that taste. So
okay.
Definitely a big fan of them. So if you want some reference to a Cyclops, here's
Jesus.
Thank you.
Yes.
Wow. Holy shit.
So,
that guy looks familiar.
Is that the same one, Casey?
Oh, look at that.
That's so
cool. My God. Is that the same one on the scale and everything, or is that the larger one you have a picture of?
It is the same one, different paint job. This is a newer, This is from a class a couple of years ago, but it's the same one. Yeah, same casting. Yeah. Wow. I think that's probably my original one I did, and then I did this one. Because this one, you can see this one's a little more pale.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
A little lighter in the.
Yep.
So you actually you teach classes on painting at this style?
Yeah.
Right?
Sculpting and painting, yeah, both actually. Yeah, mostly painting. Painting is the most popular class for some reason. I'm not sure why, but yeah. But I actually this year I've had tons of people asking me for sculpting, so I got to get back. I've actually been taking a break from the classes though during COVID. I was doing some online ones, and then I kind of took a break because it was just becoming too much to try to fit in. The online classes mixed with my regular job throughout the week, and I have some sideline projects I'm trying to wrap up, and it just becomes too much.
How did you like the doing those versus like live? Because you did live classes before. Was live versus virtual like a stretch for you? Or did you not like those?
You mean people in my studio versus online?
Yeah, like sitting live with somebody versus a virtual one. Did you find that?
The funny thing is when COVID hit and I was doing all these classes, I actually had a class scheduled for in person here. I used to have enough space in the studio to fit 10, 12 students. And people love those and everything, but you can only reach so far to people with that. And so one advantage is, I can get people in other countries if the timing works out, or they want to stay up late or whatever the hours are. The other thing though is, interestingly enough, there was what I found through doing the online classes is I'd have two camera angles right on the piece. So actually, technically, you would see more happening that way than you would even in person because think about it, in person, you're at least 5 feet away from me at your closest. You're at 3-4 feet away. You're not right up on the piece. So, I funny enough, I had to explain to a number of students actually some major advantages to it. Yeah, like the disadvantage is, you're not right here with me. I can't come over to you and grab your airbrush and show you something.
Yeah,
that's a major disadvantage. But the pluses and minuses of it all were not that drastic in a way. And I found that the online stuff was actually very fun to do and actually worked very well and didn't have too many hiccups because I would do everything through Zoom. It's pretty smooth sailing, and I could record it all. And the beauty of that was they got that recording after, and you didn't get that in the class when you took it here. So if you forgot,
good point.
You forgot it, and then you're either emailing me or trying to figure it out. Now you could go back and watch the class all over again. And actually, a lot of the students, when they leave the class, because it's a tight fit to fit a whole paint job in 8 hours, you are naturally going to forget something, and then you want to go back and see it again. They had that advantage, so it's a huge advantage to do the live online. And I've quit doing in-person classes now, even when this whole COVID thing is over or whatever. I'm probably not going to do too many of those because
that's cool.
I'm actually focusing more on just demos and doing I'll have some on YouTube, I'll have some downloadable ones, I'll have some classes online again. So just finding these just better. Also, I find that I don't have to really give up a whole day of my time, which is nice for me because it's rough to, even if it's one weekend day, I don't get very much time off. So, if I have to give up a day and I'm painting and I'm already doing that all week long anyway for work, it gets to be burnout,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And teaching is crazy because it takes your full concentration no matter what, all the time. You have to be completely committed when you're teaching. You can't just relax,
Yeah, never.
No.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's another one.
Just some.
So did you? How did sculpting start for you? Was it through schooling, or are you self-taught?
Mostly. Well, I use the self-taught term lightly because, and I know a lot of people love to say that and all that, but it's true for the most part. A lot of guys are, but the truth is, in the end, when you start working professionally and you start working around other professionals, you pick up tons of techniques, and people teach you stuff. So I always say, I started being self-taught, but then over the years, so many other artist friends have shared things with me. The way I didn't learn from other people is completely, any artist that claims that is completely inaccurate. And it's, I think people love to say that out of to sound like a genius, but we all learn from one another, and
totally.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's great. And so I started as teaching myself, but it was very, very tough. And I kept at it. I did that, sculpt 13 hours a day, every day.
Wow.
In the garage religiously and learning anatomy and doing stuff. And I didn't just do masks. I did maquettes and model kits and all different sizes. So I could kind of learn to sculpt different scales as well as, large and in different materials as well, So basically, but, over the years, as I met more and more friends and colleagues and whatnot, I would learn, different things from them. For example, one of my oldest friends in the effects industry, Steve Kang, taught me a great deal about sculpture through working next to him on various movie projects. So, you when you're working on films with other sculptors who are, 20 years beyond you're going to learn a heck of a lot.
You're picking up a lot. Yeah, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. So,
wow.
Yeah. So I learned from pretty much almost every sculptor I've ever worked with or come across. I've learned at least something from, So yeah, but then I just, it's all about how you translate that information and use it to your advantage, So,
100%.
Yeah. So, and different materials have a different learning curve. So, like when I work with wet clay for the masks, when on smaller stuff, a lot of times I work with super sculpey or monster clay or something different, and all three of those completely work differently. A different medium.
Yeah.
What's your favorite material to work with?
Well, for the masks, the large scale stuff, it's wet clay because it's fast. Really? It's fast. You can grab hunks of it, throw it on. You can get a design down in like an hour or two. You can see it already. You can rough it out, and if you don't like it, you can change it really quickly. It's easy to manipulate. So for me, that's my absolute favorite. But I also have done small stuff in wet clay, like this guy.
Okay.
But my other favorite actually is, I tell people this all the time. I think they're surprised by it, but if I could sculpt life size and super sculpey, I would. It's just that the material takes so much time to manipulate and warm up. I mean, there is a guy that does that, Tom Kubler.
Yeah, he's amazing.
He's amazing, and he does like a foam structure and then goes over it with sculpey. And the reason I say that is because, and Tom would probably attest to this, super sculpey being kind of a rubbery material frustrates a lot of people. But what I love about it is I can get wrinkles and weight to the character's face or particular things like the skin folds and the wrinkles and whatnot. I can get all that stuff much more naturally in that material than any other clay, just because of its tendency to be kind of rubbery and the way it's pliable. It's just a whole different working way of sculpting. Put a lot more pushing and stuff in it, and it takes me. It just takes me a lot more work in regular clays to get that same feel and vibe that sculpey. So it's funny. I wish. I've always wanted to actually do a life-size head, like a mask in sculpey, and just try it, but I'm always deterred just because it's like, oh man, it's going to take me forever to sculpt that.
Yeah, it takes a while.
Yeah.
It has a little bit of, like you said, bounce, a little resistance to it where you can just push in some of those wrinkles without moving the material. I love it. It's not that cheap either.
No, that's the other side. It's very expensive. Whereas wet clay, I get 50 pounds of it for like $25.
Yeah, you get the giant block.
Wow. Yeah, you grab hunks of it and throw it on, and you go. And an hour later, your creation's sitting in front of you.
Yeah, I think that the self-taught versus and because I'm self-taught technically, but I more use it as a description of, like, I didn't take a formal education. Or I didn't get a diploma to do what I do, but yeah, you're right. I mean, I learned from every artist I ever work with, and in fact, it was actually more stimulating working with artists because I was always motivated to be the better artist, but also see what they were doing and going, wow, okay, that's the bar. I need to be better than that. But I also got excited by that as well. So yeah, I can see, like, it's now people kind of hang their hat on being self-taught. But I love learning. So it's like, it's the more I figure I'll never learn enough to do what I do.
No, it's like, again, I've heard that, the day you stop learning something is the day you quit doing it, kind of, because it's like, it just never happens with art, because it really can't be 100% mastered in a way. There's kind of like, you can reach a level that's just beyond, when people look at it, just holy crap, how's he achieve that? But and that's amazing to see. But it's like, yeah, there's just this. You should never really stop learning, with it. Because I mean, even just take anatomy for example. That's to perfect that is almost impossible, and you're always learning because of just the way there's so much variety in body types and posing and movement and muscle movement and how the skin reacts. All that stuff could take so many years. I mean, most of us don't get really good toward 15 years in, like really, really good sculptors. And I remember, like, for me, even like the first 10 years was still pretty rough. I mean, I had to really work at it. And I really don't feel that I reached my full potential even now. I mean, I'm still sort of playing with trying to perfect more and more my technique in what I'm doing. So,
I agree. Well, yeah, we've been told by lots of artists that you should always be a little uncomfortable. You should always be a little nervous about what you're doing because you're constantly thinking about, am I doing this correctly? Can I do this better? Because if you approach something like, I am going to nail this, that is just nailing it. It's kind of like mailing it in a way, right? When you're already like, well, with the way it comes out is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
You almost like look at it objectively like, oh shit, did I mess that up?
Yeah. But it's good to have confidence too.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because, if having confidence, which you do need, I remember when I would work in effect shops, I really had to have confidence about what I was doing, because the minute you doubted yourself, you would get into a weird
I bet
mind mess with your mind, and just you weren't on your A game anymore. So these guys are hiring you to be on your A game. So it's kind of like you always had to go in with a little bit of confidence, or on your side.
Did you, like, when you look at something like this, do you spend some time making? Do you draw it up? Do you spend some time kind of doing a small maquette first, or hashing through it, or you just attack it and this is in your mind and you're starting to throw it down and it becomes something else?
So this particular creature here, you're showing my skull fly thing, basically started this one, because I'll work in many different ways to come up with concepts. Sometimes the idea will just pop in my head and I can sculpt it from there. Other times I'll sketch a little sketch. Sometimes I'll Photoshop, draw it. Sometimes I'll sculpt a miniature sculpture. But this particular one here actually was ZBrushed first.
Oh,
digitally. Okay. Yeah. And then now this piece wasn't deep digital, the one you're looking at. That was traditionally sculpted in clay. But the concept for it was a ZBrush 3D model that I did. I think I sculpted it in about a couple hours. And then just enough to see an idea that I liked. And I kept tweaking things in ZBrush. And then once I liked that, I took and printed different angles of the ZBrush model, printed those out as reference, and then
that's beautiful. Making from your own drawing. That's
okay. And then I went into clay, lead clay, and sculpted this for Monster Palooza. And then this piece is not latex; it's actually resin, translucent resin.
Oh my gosh! Okay.
Oh wow!
And I've got one. Hold on.
Nice.
Uh-oh.
I just pulled one out of the mold here. So
just for the show.
Yeah. Isn't that nice?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's massive. I was picturing something the size of. And that's just in the translucent resin as you described, right? Okay. Right. Wow. Yeah. How heavy is that?
It's pretty heavy. It's got foam in it and everything, and it's pretty thick resin. So it's it weighs a few pounds.
Wow.
This is on order for collector ordered one. Right. I got to do the mandibles, still cast them up, but I'm getting ready to clean it up and get it ready for paint. And I'm going to do a different. Actually, I'm doing an opposite paint job of the one you're showing. The one you're showing is purple eyes and green skin. This is going to be purple skin with green eyes, lime green.
Yeah, that's wild.
Rotty, creepy, dark skin kind of thing. So but this was sculpted in wet, and these were giant plastic spheres that I got from like Kitcraft or whatever, put them in there. And it's actually funny enough, this is like one of my more favorite sculpts actually, but not a lot of people actually buy these because they're not cheap, and they're a lot of work. I mean, these are like $1,300 pieces when all said and done. But actually, it's one of my favorite sculpts that I did through that year that I did this. I forget if it was like 2014 or 15 or something.
Yeah. What was the motivation behind it? Just from a creation perspective, I'm fascinated.
Okay, I always struggle with insect creatures for some reason. I'm fascinated by them, probably about just as much, if not more so, as the Cyclops. I told you earlier, the Cyclops stuff is like some of my favorite things to do. Is come up with good Cyclops. But insects have always been with me since I started sculpting, and I think that's because one of my early influences was guys like Takeuchi Takeya in Japan. They would do these model kit insect characters and stuff, and my very first model kit was like an insect guy coming out of a cocoon thing. So it's just always been with me. I've always been fascinated by it. But the funny thing is as much as I'm fascinated by it, I always struggle with coming up with a good design for a humanoid insect thing. I don't know why. It's kind of, I got a blockage that exists that I'm trying to overcome. And this was when I was trying to overcome that. I was just like, I'm going to force myself to do a cool insect character, and it's just got to be as cool as possible and I think I was doing this for Monster Palooza one year.
Okay.
And it was just a goal of mine, just like, okay, stop the blockage and just try to come up with something cool and do it. And that's where this was inspired by. It's just to tackle what I keep wanting to do so badly, but just can't get it. Like I try and try different ones, or you'll try one and it looks like somebody else's thing. And I was like, I don't want that.
Right.
I want it to look like mine. And I don't want to copy somebody else. I just want it to be, that's one I came up with,
Right.
So it was tough, man. I had to, that's why I chose ZBrush, because I could quickly change anything that looked weird or didn't look right or didn't look like, you know what I mean? Like I could just tweak it on the fly until it looked, and I kept on the fly. Get that?
Did it take you a while to learn ZBrush? Was that a challenge to get, or was that pretty? Did you pick it up easy? I've never tried it. I've heard it can be a challenge.
ZBrush was a very big challenge originally, because I actually had the program long ago, from back in 2003 or 4. Okay. And they've kept I could update it. I can't talk. I could update it every time that they would come out with one. Well, the ZBrush I started with was a completely different program than what it is now. I mean, you could not do anything like you do now. You had to build an armature, and you had to take all this approach to it. There was just none of the freedom of how it is now at all. It didn't exist. So there was this huge process, and I couldn't really sculpt in it well back then. I try, and things kind of I got frustrated and gave up. So I waited for ZBrush to get to a point where I could freely go in there and sculpt without worry. Not worrying about polygons and stretching polygons and all that nonsense. I can't stand that. That annoys me. If a program has that, I'm turned off immediately. Like I can't freely sculpt like I do in clay. I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't care what I don't care how realistic you can make something. It's just that turns me off. I'm a traditional sculptor. It's just the way my mind works. Right. So I waited for it to get to a point where I felt like, okay, cool. Now I can go in there and do my thing. So I kept updating it every year, but I wouldn't really work in it. And then finally, when I saw that transition happen, I forget when it came out with a version where you could just like go in there and almost not worry about how you stretch things around, because it would just fix itself. That's when I started playing with it. And again, I just use it for concepting. I wouldn't use it for like final printing too much. I've only done a little bit of that. Yeah.
Have you ever done a 3D print of something you've done?
Yes, I have. Actually, I do have some if you want me to grab a couple.
Oh, I'd love to see it. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Let me put this guy back.
And not that I ever want to try it, but I want to know I do want to try it. I want to know what 3D printer you use too, because some of them can be, $20,000, $30,000. I probably don't want that one, but a couple grand maybe. I don't know.
They have a bunch on the market now.
Yeah.
Paul, have you ever wanted to do 3D printing?
Yeah. I forget to do laundry, so
never
stuff like that. I just
these were done by a buddy of mine who I just handed the files to. I didn't do it myself. I don't really know how to do 3D printing. I know it's not very complex, but he did it for me at work. And so they were done on a Form 2.
Form 2, okay.
Form 2.
Writing that one down.
And funny enough, most of these are Cyclopses.
Oh, you don't
Hey,
say.
what? This is great. We need all the references we can get.
This is one of my favorites too that they came up with. Is a very weird Cyclops, but this is
Oh god, yeah.
Got a bit of an underbite.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Looks better like
So
that.
cool. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, this is a 3D print of one of my Cyclopses. You can even see his earrings in there.
Yeah.
No cleanup required on it at all either, huh?
Not really. I mean, it's not. And then here's a smaller with the torso.
Oh, okay.
Version.
That looks even.
Oh, nice.
I love his shoulders. That's so cool.
Yeah.
He has trouble hauling around that jaw. That poor bastard.
You can eat. You can just pour his Cheerios in there and
Right in there. It's his bowl. Yeah. And lean back.
And you know, it's this Cyclops. This will blow your mind, but the inspiration behind this came from a skeleton I saw, a skull of some animal that from the side it had that kind of underbite, and I forget what it was. I don't think I actually sculpted the skull in ZBrush first and then skinned it and did this. It came because when I saw it from the side, I was like, God, that looks like a Cyclops. So then I kind of did the skull as a study, and then over top I put the skin and everything, and it came up with this creature. So it was inspired by the skull that I saw. And then here's another little Cyclops, which is a little concept.
Yeah. We're all leaning in, staring at our things right now. Just so you know.
Get it straight.
Oh, wow. Dude, you know, I'm so enamored because you talked about all the things you have to think about when you do a Cyclops that aren't in when you have two eyes. It's remarkable because you have to carry it off. You have to think of the skull. How would the skull look? And then the muscles and the skin and everything around it. It's a lot to think about.
Another one. This is more like Devo Clops.
Yeah.
He could use those glasses. There we go.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That's
cool. So this one was inspired by a number of things. It was inspired by sort of dinosaur anatomy mixed with ape anatomy mixed with Devo glasses and just freaky stuff. So it was like a combination.
Unbelievable.
Another.
I love that one. I think I've seen that.
Mask.
Yeah, that just terrifies you. It's like you see that coming around the corner, you're like, oh shit, I give up.
Giant helmet. Yeah.
Yeah.
And another little print.
Oh, I love that guy.
Oh, that's cool.
That's so Japanese style. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've done. I've dabbled in it, and I'm gonna do some more in the future for sure. You know.
Hell yeah, that's so cool.
So we actually have some questions. I know we have limited time with you, so I definitely wanted to get them in.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on head shape for a Cyclops, butternut versus kombucha squash? Yeah.
God.
So we're talking Ernie versus Bert. So you got long, skinny guy or a short, wide guy.
I don't know because man, you could do so much with that weird squash shape thing. That's a tough one. I probably, if it were me, I would probably, comfort wise, I'd probably pick the round one. But just if I wanted to get weird and crazy, I'd go with probably the squash, the weird, weirder shape. Yeah,
the butternut.
All right,
the butternut squash. Yeah.
What is your go-to clear coat for non-yellowing gloss surface?
I'm sorry. What was it?
What is your go-to for a clear coat for a non-yellowing gloss surface?
So with the masks, like you see behind me here, I'll use Liquitex varnishes, which are flexible, somewhat flexible. They're not super flexible. They do have some give. You can't like fold it in your hand and crush it, but they have enough to them that. Let me just grab this.
Yeah.
It's great. So this is a mask, and you can see that it's got enough give that you can squeeze it and everything. It's not going to crack and all that.
Yeah.
So and like right there on the gums, you'll see high gloss varnish.
Sure.
So, but on here, I use a mixture of matte Liquitex matte varnish, like about a 50-50 mix of that with gloss, and I airbrush it on, and then over top of that, I'll hit it with dulling spray out of a can, which is just a wax spray that gives it kind of a matted down feel. It kind of gives it still get a little shine coming through, but it's not too shiny, so it looks like skin. Like you can see my bald head here; it's nice and shiny. You can see his is a little shiny. It's got that mimic. Yeah. It's got the right balance, basically. And then the eyes are 5-minute epoxy, and then the teeth and gums are slightly less glossy than the 5-minute epoxy, and I use the high gloss varnishes by Liquitex for those. Now, when it comes to translucent resin, so we switch to this character, and this is translucent resin. Now, this is just sealed with like a satin rattle can spray, because this isn't flexible. Okay. This is like a rigid thing. So this I seal with just either matte or satin out of a can, like Krylon matte or satin. And then the eyes are, again, 5-minute epoxy coated over top of that sealer. And then you get your nice finish with this.
Wow. There it is.
Yeah.
What is it? Wow.
Yeah. So there's that.
Now you said you were kind of worried about doing insects, but I look at this and I'm like, what worry do you have? This is crazy.
Well, that one was the inspiration was to do something beautiful, something that's not monsterish or monsterish and more elegant. And I actually originally designed that with a whole body and everything. It was going to be a whole body thing at Monsterpalooza, like a whole torso. But then I ran out of time and just had to chop it down to the head. And that was my first translucent resin head thing, I think, that I did for a show like that. Yeah. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mark Evans chiming in.
Yeah, Mark Evans. Hey, Mark.
Yeah, he also where is it? There's an iPad app called Nomad that's like a mobile ZBrush. So I have not heard of that. I'll definitely have to check that out.
I'm also writing that one down. Nomad.
Yeah.
I'm actually taking notes today, Casey. This is like school.
Good. I hope you learned something.
I already have. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I definitely want to flip through. This is the White Ape of Mars. I also love that you actually name everything and give it a really unique name as well. So,
and that's based off of that was my take prior to the John Carter movie coming out. I think Disney did. I had done this about a year prior, just because I was a fan of the story. Some of the white apes of Mars, which actually have like 4 arms, and they're these giant apes that live on Mars and basically attack and kill anything that comes across their way. But they're vicious apes. So I did this concept based on what's just basically some writing out of a book, that the description that they kind of give, and I kind of came up with my own sort of take on that description.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So amazing.
Oh, this is a tribute to Bernie Wrightson. This was so this was based on, this one here was actually not my design. This is based right off of Bernie Wrightson concept of a creature, like a Black Lagoon creature type thing. It looks more kind of sea turtle and whatnot. I really loved the design, and I was working on it. And after Bernie passed away, and I wanted to really just showcase it at Monsterpalooza in tribute to him and the inspiration that I had gotten from him over the years. I knew Bernie, used to sit next to him at shows, and just a really humble, super quiet, nice guy. And it was really sad when he passed away. And I knew his son, John Wrightson, who's an amazing sculptor, artist in the effects industry, absolutely incredible artist himself. And but this was this was just me wanting to pay respect and tribute to a legend that had influenced me heavily throughout the years. I would look at Bernie and Frank Frazetta and all these guys. Those guys are like the top you know,
The gods.
anyone that doesn't study those guys, they should, because I mean, what they do is amazing. And so anyway, this was just a tribute to him out of respect.
That's beautiful, man. Well done.
Thank you.
So do you, I noticed that you collaborate with someone to do the hair.
Oh yeah. So now, so this piece here was so when I was a kid, I had a friend I would go to after school to his house, and, we at a time we got into the whole, like, I dare you to say Bloody Mary in the mirror over and over again. And we thought we would see something and freak out and run out of the bathroom screaming, 8-year-old kids,
Right.
And so this was my take on what Bloody Mary would really look like,
Oh, wow.
And I like the creepy, there's actually these, these are not just blood, but they're actually giant raked out, like, kind of holes running down to her smile. So it goes all the way up to the eye cavity, right? It's not just blood dripping down the face. It goes right up into the eye cavity. It's like a giant weird hole on each side of the face. So I did that and gave her these goiters and creepy stuff, that you find in real life and stuff. That's really freaky to me. But anyway, so this was done based on all that stuff. And then what you asked, earlier, the hair work is done by my wife.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my wife, Melissa Love, does all the hair stuff for me, and she hand punches this. This is actual real yak hair that we buy from sources, and then we either dye it or stain it or whatever, and then she'll hand punch those in one at a time, and I'll drive her crazy when she's not doing it right. And point the needle at me and get out of here. But she's really great. She's fast. She's done all my hair. I really haven't had to hire anybody, which is great. She's not a fan of doing it. It's a tedious process. And
big time, imagine.
I hate even having to ask her these days. I try to avoid it because it's like, anytime I have to ask her, she just gives me that look. But no, she's all good. She does it for me, and she does a great job. She gets style it and everything too. And but this one particularly has just, it's not a lot of hair volume. It's just your hanging.
Yeah, the wispy, like the dead. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. And
Which
congratulations, you also used goiter for the first time on Carvers and Creators.
Nice work.
There you go.
When I look at that little sag of skin, I want to create it. I want to make it. It's just it's so disgusting and at the same time beautiful, because it's got that, I can like see how it just like folds over there. And anyway, I'm a fan. I don't know what, I love wrinkles. I love, all kinds of anomalies with skin, but that is beautiful.
Yeah, just give it that weight. It's that stretching skin on the side.
Yeah, like pulling down, and then you got a bulge, and awesome.
So we only have 10 minutes left with you, Casey, but I wanted to actually look at Matt's and Paul's creation so far. So they're always worried who I'm going to choose first. So the first one to freak out. Yeah, Matt gets it because he freaked out first.
Nice. All right. I didn't understand the question.
Let me see if I can get. So my guy right now, again, as any sculptor knows, is the very roughest stages. So he's perturbed. He's an irritated cyclops. I wanted to make his eye relatively large, so we'll see how big we can make it and still get a brow in there. That's kind of was my big push. His mouth is starting to kind of come around again. Very, very early stages, but he's going to be a perturbed cyclops made out of a squash.
There you
eventually. We'll see.
Very cool. Very cool. I know there's always that awkward stage, right? You reach that,
and I'm at it. Yeah, absolutely.
Like you're not sure if it's looking good or whatever. Paul's
I am completely still in the roughing out stage, and something about the shape of the squash, I keep making the eye oblong.
Yes.
I have to reel it in, fellas. I have to figure it out.
Fellas,
I'm still trying to just, like you were saying before, Casey, about kind of leaving room for, what's going to happen here, because I figure under the eye, and then this now will probably tie into this if he's irritated. You know, you kind of use this area right here.
Yeah.
I'll figure out a way to mess with the anatomy a little bit. And then I don't know if he's gonna be aggravated. Usually, if he's irritated, I'd imagine he's pouting about something. So maybe I'll give him a bit of an underbite and a big, like a nice big juicy lip here to pout.
There you go.
So yeah, long way to go.
Yeah, I like the fold though of the wrinkles already. The weight of those and how they're folding over what that probably will be a nose. I take it. Yeah,
I'm just kind of saving this general area right now to, like you said, for folds, and so I don't take too much. That's the problem with subtraction, right? Is if you take too much too early, that's the difference between additive and subtractive is you have to work slow, because if you go super fast, you're like, oh, that's where the nose was gonna go.
It was gonna go there.
That's gone.
Then what? So like if you mess up, I mean, really, you have to then take a piece of pumpkin or squash or whatever and add it, right? That's the
right. Cut it from the back, and then use a little super glue.
Oh, super glue. Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Paul does that. I use a little Gorilla.
Gorilla.
You know?
Yeah.
But it does the same thing. You can glue a nice flat wet surface to each other beautifully with this if you have to.
Yeah, it works great.
Do you have to use is it just straight super glue, or do you have to use that kicker stuff?
Just straight. Yeah, just straight.
The only thing every now and again I'll add, if it's a larger piece like pumpkins or something, I'll add maybe a couple short pieces of a dowel. You know what I mean? Almost like rebar in a way, so it doesn't come, because you're still gonna hack at it. Yeah. But other than that, and when super glue or Gorilla Glue, when it solidifies, it does have that white hue to it.
Right.
So if you have that around the seam, you generally have to finish your sculpt and then go in with a razor knife and carefully kind of remove that to hide as much as you can.
Oh, I see. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never done it, so that's interesting.
Well, so now you know the secret.
Pumpkin trick.
You know all our secrets. That's it. We have
that was the only one we have to give.
Yeah, well, I think the taking away is that's the part that freaks me out, because it's like, man, I'm so used to thinking add, you know. It's a different.
Yeah, and usually in the when it's not when it wasn't carving season, now it's carving season year round. But when I would do the pumpkins, it would be I'd switch gears and get back into like all clay and stuff like that, and it was like a breath of fresh air, being like, oh, I can just put it back on if I mess up the first time. Or if it's not symmetrical, I don't have to whittle one side down. The side that I like, I don't have to whittle that down to match the side I don't like to make it look uniform.
Right.
And it didn't make it any easier, because obviously it's like I can't smooth this shit out. I can't get it to the right shape. Every time I do this, and now it's too warm. I quit. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm done. Well, it's crazy because it's like in the last 10 years or 8 years, this has become such a big thing. Like, I mean, it's like you said, it's year round now. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't know guys that would carve this stuff year round before. Yeah. You know, it's become such a. And I love it because I'm a big fan of Halloween and pumpkins and all that. So, and masks, obviously. So I mean, but I'm always fascinated by what you guys do. Like Andy, you guys, Andy and Bill Fane, everybody is like, holy moly, you guys are amazing. I mean, and I've seen we've talked about. I've seen some of my artwork done in pumpkins. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't do that. You sculpted in clay, I can't do it in a pumpkin.
Yeah, I mean, but think about it this way. You've inspired a whole complete generation of subtractive carvers with your work, because we're looking for Halloween inspired inspiration, and you have a ton of it. And that's amazing.
You go to a monster carver, you go to a monster sculptor if you're going to start carving monsters. I mean, so exactly. Paul was right on the money. You just go to this kind of thing. Just
is boggling.
It's mind-boggling. It's just so damn awesome. I mean,
the iguana guy. Yeah.
All right. So it's like, I know we have limited time, but I have 2 questions right off the bat, real quick.
Go for it. Yeah.
One, how the hell did you get it so uniform? Is that like a texture stamp? And 2, to get in between the scales with the yellow, is that a wash?
Oh yeah. Okay. So this was inspired directly from an iguana, and which I was just fascinated by those lizards.
Amazing.
Me too.
Because they just, the cool thing about these lizards is really I should tackle a different paint job on this, because you could do them orange, all orange. Iguanas can have all these crazy colors. But to answer your question, so yes and no. So okay, all the texture on the top of the head was just carved in.
Mm-hmm.
Everything down on the neck was not a texture stamp. It was netting.
Oh, wow.
And that's how I got all that in between the wrinkles, which is very difficult with a texture stamp. You can't really push it in between the wrinkles. So I used this netting, and I was able to take my tool. I had a big flat wooden sculpting tool, one of those ones that's like that wide and all flat. And I would lay the netting on very slowly, start in one section and lay it down. And then I would just rub the tool, the flat tool, over it, trying not to distort the clay, the shape of the clay.
Right.
Of course, it was wet clay, so it got to a point where it was pretty firm. It wasn't wet, really wet. It was nice and firm, and maybe took a slight fingerprint, when you pressed it. So so enough to take the netting in, but not enough to, squash it basically. So I would rub the tool down over the netting and push it in evenly everywhere I went to try to get the texture to be even everywhere. And then I could also work it in between wrinkles and whatever and whatnot. And then I just tied it all together as it faded off from that area into the face and head and everything else in the back there. I just tied it in with other carved in, sculpted in by hand textures.
Oh my God, it's dynamite.
Yeah, and then and then when I was done, I simply carefully removed the netting, and small netting with a texture. Remove that, and the netting was like stretchable, different directions too. That was helpful. So remove that, and then just gently took a stipple sponge to massage it gently down, or any rough areas or whatever you had.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it for that. It was very easy. Then, as far as the paint application goes, you're right. The yellow and stuff is, it's not a wash. It's actually a glaze. And it's done last, not first. So once the whole paint job is in there, I will take different colors of glazes. So I'll take this matte gel medium. It's a gel, and I'll mix color into it. And then I'll brush it on and then wipe it off with a paper towel, clean paper towel, smoothly wipe it off. And I'll have the paper towel slightly damp, and I'll wipe it off, and it leaves all the color in the cracks, and I'll just keep going over. And then, of course, where it gets more orangey, do it orange there, and then take it off. And then I might have to go back afterwards and just touch up some of the blackish green if there's a little, because you'll get like maybe a filmy layer that dries sometimes on there. But you kind of go back and just do a little airbrush here and there, not much, and that's it. And that's the technique to get that.
This is I'm amazed by it. It's crazy.
Every time I have to do one of these, though, I dread it.
I imagine.
Because all the fins in the back and the front are translucent Primo Sculpey.
Okay.
Because you need something stronger than Super Sculpey, so they have to have flexibility. So they're all Primo, translucent. They have to paint them, insert them. The paint job on this takes several days to do. It's a massive undertaking. The eyes are a pain to do right. They take a lot. I even at one point was putting gold in the eyes. You can't really see it here, but it was nuts. It was just nutso to do each time.
Oh my God.
I'm proud of this piece because there's a guy that owns one of these. I gave it to him by the name of Kirk Hammett from Metallica.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he owns one.
He's good?
You might have heard of him.
Never heard of him. No.
I never
did. Yeah. I know you're a huge metal fan. I think we could have you back and talk just about metal the whole damn time. I'm wearing my High on Fire shirt. I'm a huge metal guy myself. So God damn.
So we're at time with Casey, but let me flip through this because I have a whole deck that we still have to go. So
we'll go through it. Just take our time, no rush. This is Brainwave.
Oh,
a massive piece that's humongous. This started as a miniature Super Sculpey design, and we were. I was getting ready for. I had sculpted it prior to a Monster Palooza. I was trying to think of some designs to do. I wanted to do some alien Martian-y thing that's been lobotomized and just left brainless and weird, and kind of Frankenstein meets sci-fi. I'm always fascinated with that combination. So, which is, you see the drool coming down the side.
Oh yeah,
I had a teacher. I had a driver's ed teacher that that did that in class. That's probably where that gross inspiration comes from. But yeah, so I did this small one, and then I upscaled it, and I'll never forget. I went so big on it. I remember my wife walked in the garage, and I had roughed it out, and Monster Blues was only like a week and a half away or something at this point. And she walks in and sees this thing, and she's like, Jesus Christ, is it big enough? You know, because this thing is huge. You ever see a picture of me next to it, it's massive. And I remember at one point I got it roughed out, and I couldn't get the head shape quite right. It was much easier to control smaller than when you get big like this. Things can get wacky on you. And I remember just looking at it going, God, it's not right. It's not right. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh man. And I almost gave up on it. And I almost tossed it to the side, which I would not have finished it. And but I kept plugging through on it, and then I got real happy with it. And fitting the domes was tricky. And
yes, I can imagine.
Now, what are the domes even made out of?
Oh,
it's something that big.
Yeah, they're tricky to find, because nowadays these kinds of things, these domes, man, they can be expensive to find. I don't remember the company. I always have to go look it up. But I found a company in New York that makes 2 plastic domes to fit together with little like clips or something. And what they do is they do it for like kids' rooms, and you can put like fun stuff in there for kids and hang it in their room, and it makes their room all. They make different color domes and stuff, but it's made out of the same thing as like a Pepsi bottle, but slightly thicker. You know, like a 2-liter bottle. So, but it's a little
flexible. Thicker. It looks slightly flexible.
Yeah. Okay. And I'll take a hot, you know how you can get like a hot razor blade? You can get an electric one, and and I'll cut they come with like a little edge that they clip together. I'll cut that off, and then so that it fits in there, and it ended up being the right size. So I used it in the sculpture, and then afterwards I inserted a fresh one into the head. I always have to order a set, you know, if I need it for this guy.
Right.
But they're not as expensive as going to, like, if you go to a place that makes spheres and domes, that you'll find that it can be quite expensive to buy those. So that for those, it was only like $20-something or something like that.
Wow, that's so cheap.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the past I've looked for stuff like that, then like an acrylic dome, like just trying to find the right words to type into Google.
Yeah,
to get what you're looking for is almost impossible sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, if it's on a smaller scale, like something like on the Fly Eyes or smaller, then you can just go to Kitcraft. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
You want to go back to the one guy? Yeah, I like him a lot.
Oh my God, yeah.
So this, if you guys are familiar with This Island Earth, the film, the old sci-fi film with the metal mutant. So when I did this little guy, I didn't really have too much of an idea on what he was until I painted him. And once I painted him, this was for a demonstration for a class that you're looking at here. And after I painted it, I realized, would be this little 3-foot tall imp, and these little guardian builders that like in my imagination, the little guardian builders that would build those alien creatures, you know, like.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Okay. I started calling him like Space Imp or whatever. And I just decided like, oh, it'd be cool if these little weird creatures, if they ever redid that movie, I'd pitch the idea that these little creatures are like the builders of, you know.
Yeah, there's hundreds of them running around, and they're all just like angry little bastards, like doing that. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
You don't want to mess with them.
They'll
worse than
put a hole in your leg. Yeah, they'll tear you apart.
Yep.
Yeah.
Krampus.
And then this is Krampus. Krampus.
Krampus.
Good God. And you've done many versions of this. I've seen different colorings and stuff like that. And the hair is always amazing. And the blood in the hair. I mean, this is what kids should grow up on instead of Santa.
Yeah, I agree. My kids do.
Yeah.
So this came from, wanting to do a Krampus, wanting to tackle that idea, and what can I do to make it look like something we haven't seen before? It's obviously they have the horns and they have certain aspects, but then the tongue and
the lower jaw is just gnarly.
Yeah, just and
it opens up like an unhinging snake or something,
Yeah, that came after you. Definitely give you nightmares, but
yeah.
It did the base and incorporated the chains and stuff too and whatnot.
What's the scale, Casey, on this? Are we human size?
Yeah, I don't have a casting, but I mean, he's like, well, with the horns, the bust must be, that big with the horns and everything. I mean, it's pretty good.
Okay.
And when it's on the base, it's even because the base is 4 inches. So I wish I had one here, but yeah, he's a good size. He's not.
I'm thinking about putting him out with the Christmas decorations this year.
Yes, for sure.
And they come around the corner in a dark room, and you'd be like, "Oh Jesus! Oh, okay, never mind. He's okay."
So we saw the Cyclops, the bloater.
That is.
Oh my God!
So awesome.
Now was this? Now I know you've got Walking Dead in your background. Is this from that show?
No.
Okay.
I wish I had this concept to hand them back when that was happening. But what they hired me for specifically on Walking Dead was actually out of my own shop. They just they approached me and said, "Hey, we need some masks. You're a mask guy. Would you sculpt some?" But actually, and I did. Well, originally it was going to be like full head silicone mask, but then they quickly called me and said, "You know what? Scratch that idea. It's going to be way too hot for actors to wear where we're filming out there, Atlanta."
Yeah.
The actors would have been dying in a silicone mask. So they quickly said, "Hey, just do us some half masks in your style, but kind of consider like that. Look at some of the Walking Dead stuff and go off of that." And I did one like melting and one creepy like squinty one or something. I'm trying to remember, but I did those and it just real quick out of oil-based clay, and then anyway, this thing happened way later, many years later, and I think this was like last year or the year before actually.
Okay.
Sculpted this guy, and it was just again, it was like I always kind of avoided zombies to an extent, like just because so many people do them,
Sure.
And again, it's like the insect thing I was telling you guys. Like I see other people do really great things, but then it's like I struggle. That's another one I struggle with, is like a good zombie, like a really good one that, what is it and how can I do something a little different or make something cool? So this was just me doing a fat bloated zombie.
I love it.
Creeps me out. And I was just like, let me just tackle this. It's been done before, but let me just go ahead with it. And then that's what I came up with. It's just a small little resin head that I sell. Should be it should be like a gear shifter.
Oh my God. Or a tap at your bar.
Tap at your bar.
Yeah, exactly. That's the new beer.
It's your new beer, bloater.
Yeah, bloater IPA.
$1 million idea on the show right now.
Exactly.
If anybody steals that idea, please
send
Casey's. Send a check to my house.
That's Casey's idea.
You heard it here first.
Bloater ale.
Yep.
So this is one of my favorites of newer stuff. This is more of my newer end portfolio. This is called Two-Headed Terror Clops. So
he's got two eyes.
Two eyes.
God, the paint job is insane to go along with the sculpt, like the staples and Jesus.
Yeah,
the paint job on the eyeball and the other. You could stare at it for an hour and find something new every 2 seconds.
And the horn. Every time I see the horn, it looks like it's literally emerging from his head.
It's on one side, right? Because you don't want horns on the other side. You stab the other guy.
Yeah, you poke him up.
You got to be a good neighbor,
Yeah.
So
this was like this weird fantasy thing where I was like, I want to mix a rock skin Cyclops with some goblin-y or orky Cyclops thing, without taking from really anything we've seen before genre-wise. So I just was like, okay, how do I mix these and make it work and actually, work together and look like they could work together and like it could exist somehow. So it was just an interesting, fun adventure to go on and getting to do the, one skin texture, one rock texture and how to combine. I have done another paint variant on it because there was a collector of mine that's like a big He-Man fan, and there happened to be back in the day a two-headed character in He-Man. He wasn't, I don't know that he was a Cyclops, I forget, but I think it was called Too Bad. But he was like purple and blue. So I did one like that for him, which was cool. But this wasn't based on anything from He-Man. But anyway, this was just me having fun with one of my favorite things to do, which is Cyclopses and how could I. And I've actually got a new concept I'm working on, but I've only done one head, and it's got 3 heads, 3 separate Cyclopses. Yeah. So
Wow.
Well, Mickey, I just go back 1 second. I just want to know what the conversation between those two guys is. Yeah, you just see them like looking at each other. They probably don't even speak the same language, but
yeah, I don't know. Probably, I would assume they argue a lot and disagree.
A lot of grunts. Yeah, a lot of anger. They punch each other. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Just this one, the green one probably would lose most of the battle since the other one has.
Yeah, he's not made of rock. Exactly.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, and the horn for him is on the other side. So like
he can't help.
Direction.
He's screwed.
So the pumpkin witch.
So
see, this is one of my favorites of yours.
Yeah, all time. Yeah.
The expression.
Yeah,
is so creepy.
He's so evil. He's so goddamn evil. I just love it.
So this idea, and I have to give credit properly because otherwise I'll get strangled tonight. But my wife, Melissa, is the one that came up with this idea. She and I were sitting and we were talking, and I often reach these stages sometimes where I just can't think of anything, I just don't, I'm not coming up with anything I like or whatever. And I get bummed out, a little depressed, and I can't figure out what I want to do or whatever. She's the one that always snaps me out of it and is like, she'll throw out like several ideas. So
that's so cool.
We're sitting down talking one night, and she's just like, you need to do, I forgot how it came out, but she's just like, you need to do a pumpkin witch. And I'm like, pumpkin?
Nice.
What? Like, and then that's what popped in my head. And so there was no concept drawn or anything for this. It just, that's what popped in my head. And then I sculpted it. And the only thing I used was I looked at a bunch of real old lady faces for reference of how they smile. And that's why it has such a nice natural look, is I was just referencing real human people rather than anything else. And then the top of the head, I just look at pumpkins. And so this one was cool, though. I did this one for my boss at Sideshow, a guy named Tom Gillian, who's a famous painter from the effects industry and one of the owners of Sideshow. So anyway, he got this for last Halloween for his house.
No,
he ordered for me, and so I did this one, and he wanted. It was cool because I had done a green one and an orange one, and then he said, "Hey, what if we mix them? What if we mix the two you've done? Like, I like the green and I like the orange. I'm kind of torn which way to go, but what about mixing them?" And I was like, "Oh, dude, that'd be rad, right?" So at first, I did it backwards. I did her face orange and the top green, and then I was like, "Wait, this doesn't really make sense. Like the witch should be the green face, and then the orange should be the pumpkin."
Yeah.
So I reversed it real quick. He came over and he was looking at it, and he's like kind of scratching his head, looking at me, and I'm like, "What's up? Like, what's up?" And then he goes, "Oh, it should be reversed." So anyway, I did, and there you have it. And that's now my favorite of all the ones I've done. That kind of
It's completely beautiful. Hey, Mickey, go back for just one split second, Mickey, real quick. I don't want to, but when I see the wisps of green hair, I know your wife has something to do with that, and you seriously married well. So congratulations. It's not every day you hear your wife come up with hey, you need to do a pumpkin witch, but that's fantastic. But it almost has like a Palpatine kind of like the wrinkles, and they go up into the pumpkin itself. Is just, I just love it. I keep staring at it. But anyway,
I didn't think about that. Yeah, it does have a Palpatine feel to it. Actually,
But
he's got that weird smile.
The dark eyes. I just I'm so drawn to it, and it just flows so well the whole ear. And anyway, I'm just geeking out. But sorry, go ahead, Mickey.
Thank you.
So, Sleepy Troll, you also do full figure like model kits.
Oh yeah,
Fat Ferratu. I love this
Did
one.
you just call Fat Ferratu? I love that.
Yeah, Swine, Mongrel. I said there's.
Oh my God.
We're definitely Casey. You have no choice about this. You're coming back because we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because we still have to talk about Slayer.
Gary.
Yes.
Gary Holtz. Yes.
So we're gonna get you out of here. So let's put this to bed.
Oh my God. Oh,
Yeah.
nice Mickey.
Yeah.
But Mickey, wait, what about Rick Baker, Guillermo del Toro?
Okay, that's for episode
Andy
2.
Burgos? Oh my God. We have a million things to talk about.
Look at that thing, man. Nice. There it is.
Go, yes.
That is
So that's a funny picture because anytime I do anything with my son, that's my son, Avon, those pictures go viral. And
Oh hell
they
yeah!
somehow
So great.
come back to us in ways we either don't like as parents. We disapprove. I've seen a few where I disapprove of what they're saying. And
Sure.
oh man, that was a mistake, and this one was one of them. Or it comes back when we're cracking up because it's hilarious, because people just grab the photo and do whatever with it. And so this one, and there's another one I did with a buddy of mine sleeping with one of my masks, and oh man, they've
I
gone
saw that one. Yeah,
times.
Yeah,
I love it.
so good. So
Yeah.
definitely check out Casey Love on his Instagram. Casey Loves Designs. Where else can we find you, Casey?
YouTube, Casey Love Monsters on YouTube. Please give me a follow. I'm actually working on building that up as well. And Casey Love Monsters, is my website. My Instagram, Casey Love Designs. Facebook, which is just Casey Love. Yeah, pretty much. Those are the places right there.
Right on. Thank you. And you can find us here on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. Before we leave, Kurt Hammock, which band was he in before Metallica?
Exodus.
Boom! Nailed it.
You can't be slipping one past him.
The guy's pure metal. You can't
Yeah.
ask anything about him.
He
Yeah.
was Gary Holt's teacher.
See, we have so much to talk about.
Yeah, you gotta come back, Casey. Please
And
come back.
on that note, when we do, we'll talk about this mask, which I'm not going to mention what it's for now, but we'll talk about this.
Oh, teaser.
It has something to do with those guys. Hopefully, I'm talking to Gary right now, and maybe we're going to make something work with that. So, which is it's a special thing. It's not nothing to buy or anything or promote, but it's like just for a special cause. But anyway, I'm waiting to hear from him on it.
Nice.
Pretty
Can't wait. I can't wait to talk about that. Anything.
Nice.
I mean, believe me, we have. I think I wrote down notes, and there's like 7 or 8 things we never got to. So we'll have to have you back. Casey.
Let's do it again sooner than later. It's just so busy right now. It's hard, but let's do it again soon. This was a blast. I would absolutely love to be back on, and we can talk about effect stuff and all kinds of other things and
wait.
Whatever else you guys want.
Fantastic. So
Killer.
from Matt Harper, Paul Dever, thank you to Casey Love. We will see you next Thursday for Carvers and Creators. Check us out, and we'll be here back next week. Good night, everyone. Take care.
Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night, guys. Thank you.